Ethiopia, the promised land. I was hurt. I was hurt when I got beat up and robbed. Not just hurt physically, but hurt, internally, because, man, I was just getting comfortable. I felt I was so at home and so relaxed that I wasn't looking over my shoulder like I was in LA. I really felt at home up to that point. Now it's still home, but now I have to watch my back, just like when I'm in, because that's the reality. People are hungry. People feel like if you're from foreign, you have more, and that's not the reality. Many of us come here with just what we have on our back because of the promise of a better tomorrow. Not necessarily today have to be so much better. And our initiative is to work hard for that better tomorrow. And Jah blesses us. So we get jobs, we get housing, we get those things here in Ethiopia, even when the system was, before the government's new decree, was against us. You know what I'm saying? We're declaring this home and settling down and staying here past our 3-month or 6-month or 2-year visa. You know what I'm saying? Many Rastas just come and said, forget the visa, I'm staying. This is my home.
Ras,
yeah.
Can we get the usual morning chant from Moblisa Mosque?
Because we felt at home here, the spiritual part. I tell people all the time when they ask me, why'd you come here? I said, I used to live in Los Angeles, Hollywood, the place that people think everybody wants to be. But when I wake up in the morning, here in Ethiopia, I hear Mezmor, or I hear Muslim Musi, or I hear Catholic bells, or I hear some praises to God. You know what we hear in America when we wake up? Helicopters, weather report, gunshots, sirens. You don't hear praises to God. Rastafari! So, what's the better place to be for my mental and my spiritual health? To me, is here. Even though there's problems. Okay? There's problems. But there's problems everywhere. I'd rather be here struggling and dealing with these problems than in America right now with Trump and Black Lives Matter and all of these things. Why? I don't want to be there with that. I'm here where it's a black country. It's rare when you see a white face. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying this is like, for me, I'm chilling, I'm cool. My mental health, my stress level is down so low. That's why I'm 59 and shining.
I feel like there is ignorance between both by the Rastafari community about Ethiopians and amongst the Ethiopian community about the Rastafari. Having a Rasta family and raising the Rasta children, or raising in this culture, and also Ethiopian, I can close that gap. I can bring their voice. I can project their voice, meaning through film, and bring it to the to the Ethiopian audience. Yes, I'm an activist for them, and also I'm a researcher. But by bringing their voice, it kind of, I will plant, let's say, 2 trees in one pot. Ethiopia, the promised land. Ethiopia, that's where I stand. Ethiopia, the promised land. The singers known, like the prominent figure in reggae music, was in Ethiopia, Raskunsa, which I really so much talk about in my research. He's like my mentor in this whole saga of Rastafari way of life in my life. And what I did is, when he finished the concert, I grabbed his hand and I told him, I want to understand more about reggae music. As a child, I was always attracted to the cause of any African issues. And I remember when I was like 5 years old, I was seeing in black and white TV at our home during the Derg regime, during the Marxist regime. There's this anthem in Amharic, and the children are thinking like Africa, Africa, Hagarachen. It means like Africa, Africa, our continent, and then our country, kind of.
Salmola.
Seeing that, I imagined like instantly myself like making a speech in front of people and doing stuff like, you know, working for African causes. It's something that flashes like this when you are a child and you don't know when it manifests.
Rastafari manifested out of the Pan-African movement in terms of a desire to have a spiritual component, 1, a focal point, 2, being the majesty, and 3, a complete holistic way of life within which to attain basically the same goals as the Pan-Africanists, which is the restoration of the continent, the good, everything that's good that we want to happen on the continent.
Live and direct, Zion Chenlo, Chashamale, Ethiopia, in the name of the Most High, Rastafari, Yele Ai, and Denya Babajanoi. Welcome in Amon Zionai, blessed love.
Our elders were thrown in prison for treason because they said we're not bowing down to Queen Elizabeth, we have a king. They were put in insane asylums. They suffered. My elders suffered. They were beaten. Carroll Gardens incident, they were beaten. They were killed officially by the government because we said Africa, because we said Haile Selassie. But what did he do? He guided us home. He came to this little island, recognized us, gave awards, and said, you know, we love you. We love you. Isn't that what it's about, that grace?
The first thing I did when I finished my college was actually to establish a non-governmental, to found rather, a non-governmental organization, a youth organization called African Youth Association, which was really the first of its kind in the country, founded by young people.
There's a continuum of movements that have come up over time in this Pan-African world. So whether it was the Black Power movement, the Black Consciousness movement, the Civil Rights movement in America, the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa, these are all movements of Black Africans asserting their right to be and claiming African redemption. So Rastafari is that expression of Pan-Africanism that brings now to the table a Black God.
The Rasta man is at the vanguard. We're not preaching racism, but we have a duty and a responsibility to lift the black race from the bottom of the social ladder to our rightful position.
The only thing they are asking is, as far as my interviews concerned my research, they want to correct that injustice. They want it to be corrected and publicly to ask for an apology and for all the things that they are deprived of, whether it's economically and other things. They want also not only repatriation, meaning repatriation is like relocating themselves to go back to Africa, but also reparation, to be paid off for what is ripped out of them. Yeah.
One of the culture shocks for me was coming to Ethiopia and looking at the churches and seeing so much European Marys and European Christ. And in making that investigation, the Abba would say to me, they're gifts from other churches. And they didn't quite understand the psychological effect of those white Jesuses, how it was used by the colonialism to enslave us mentally. How it was used, and we had to break down that chain.
Black supremacy means it's not black is higher than white, but it's accepting more of black is the origin of everything, and to deny, to accept that, and also to correct the injustice done in slavery, and to get apology from those who did it.
A battle in a family, and one brother commits a crime against another brother. What they have to do to reconcile is the perpetrator of the crime has to accept that he did wrong and apologize to the victim. When the perpetrator makes that apology, he accepts he did something wrong. When the victim receives that apology, the victim then has the opportunity to accept that apology, and both brothers can then embrace in true love. What we have now, Mahlet, is a situation where the perpetrator nations of slavery don't even accept that they did something wrong.
Ethiopia is the sweetest land I've ever seen. Ethiopia's wondrous mountains and healing streams. Ethiopia's rainbow promise, red, gold, and green. Ethiopia's future growing in her children's dreams. Ethiopia, it's where I stand. Ethiopia, the promised land. So in the very early days, I told him that's what I'd come to Ethiopia to do, was to live and get my citizenship and stay. And he said to me, the longer you stay here, the more illegal you will be, as it were. But I didn't see it like that, and I explained it to him that I think the longer I stay here, it's the more evidence I have of my determination to be here and get my citizenship. By being here, presence is our only our only clout, is our only influence. We can't get our citizenship if we're down in Trinidad or Toronto or wherever.
Because, those people who stayed outside, mostly in the West, you can't even spend one night without any legal papers there. Right. So that's like, okay, it's a shock, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. If we wasn't legal, you think 1,000 people or more than 1,000 people could come from foreign countries, settle in the country, buy pieces of land or build houses, send their children to school, open companies, if we wasn't legal. That couldn't work. So we are always legal.
They cannot move, they cannot work, they don't have residence permit. It's a lot of contradictions that's going on. The state doesn't come and bother them actually to kick them out, but they're illegal technically because they don't have paper.
If it's legal, then we can approach the banks as collective, get loan, and we can set up business and have equal opportunity. So there's a great advantage in having a legal status, and besides that, I'll be able to travel. I could leave Ethiopia, I could go to Kenya, I could go to South Africa, I could go to Zambia, I could go to Ghana. Right now I cannot move because they want me to pay 300,000 bucks for me to travel. Imagine in 21st century in Black Africa, that is thing I supposed to go with blood. Not everything you can say.
Yeah. And also he wanted to cry. Like he has tears in his eyes. That is, he's keeping something in, that not everything you say, and he's angry for what. And it was a crazy situation. Yeah. So the state was, the Ethiopian government was charging them $10 per day, and these people have been illegal for years and years and decades. I mean, if you multiply $10.
Askabinda, in spite of all your struggles, and if, let's say, that things don't change in Ethiopia, regardless of the implementation of this new guideline or not, regardless of that, will you still
call Ethiopia home? And will you still advise your brothers and sisters from the Caribbean to come home?
If tomorrow a brother come here and he tell like I've been there, I have $200,000 and we can go register as an investor, immediately I leave here and I go up and look for land and set up an industry.
These people are the real Rastas for me. They are not just talking. They don't care if I hear them or anybody hears them. They're living. They're living. They're the one who answered the call of the empire and who come and live there, who disregard all the infrastructure, luxury in the West and said, no, enough. I'm going back home to the motherland. It's not that the motherland is treating them good, but with all the situations, they are okay. At the end of this, I ask them, all of them who have been furious, the other things, the other advantage that the camera can capture is when I ask him, where is home? Oh, Ethiopia is home. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no negotiation on that. And the smile they put on their face after being furious and angry and, talking about problems, but no, we are not negotiating on this. They are not moving on inch from that. Ethiopia is home.
In Jamaica, and even now, there's certain schools where children with dreadlocks cannot go to school.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
In Europe, in America, those challenges are there. So what's the difference? At least you're home. At least you're home. And for us, that connection to the ground, to the earth, to a space where you can exhale amidst the challenges.
When she says, with her very calm voice, because at least it's home, the way it represents, like you should relax, you're at home in spite of everything.
Children, I live.
Hey.
Children, yeah.
What happened?
Fools say in their heart, Rasta, your God is dead.
The first encounter I personally was I took my child when he was 3 years old to school, and by then it wasn't even locked hair. It was just long hair and braided. That was all. And I took to this private school. They did the assessment very well, a couple of assessments. He passed. And then when it's about to start the school, they thought, no, but you have to do something about his hair. What? In this multicultural country that we say our diversity is our beauty. I mean, forget Rasta, forget anything. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Was really a slap on the face. I just don't know what to say. And
it's a foolish dog, bark at a flying bird.
I went to an Ethiopian school, and I was actually the only white and girl with dreadlocks in my school. So being a child, I was a bit like people would take care of me like a different person. They wouldn't be rude to me or anything that way. But
for me, I don't like to be treated as a foreigner, because in England I'm a foreigner. Over here I'm a foreigner. In America I'm a foreigner. So where will I be one? Where will I be? Where are my people? If I have no people if England aren't my people, if Africa is not my people, if America is not my people, then where am I? God created me with a people. I have ancestors. They don't. Over here, they don't read their history. If they were to read their history, they'd understand that, okay, I may have come from foreign, but I'm not a foreigner. You just don't know. They don't teach. Over here in Ethiopia, they're teaching foreign history. So they will never learn their own history. If they don't teach their own history, they will never be able to move forward. They will just stay stuck where they are.
It's one talking about it, but all to show not only them, but even the children, the way they are raised to be like vocal, to have a voice for their own cause. And they are familiar to sit round table and discuss with their families. In most of the Rastafari family or household, most of them, they don't have TV.
Because most, they think like, hey, that you come with, this is not your country and things like that. You shouldn't have this big yard, and we have a small yard and you got a big yard. Because you got money, you buy a big yard and things like that. They're jealous of that.
And they express it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily to do with wrestling, but it's to do with coming from foreign and being...
To show this, he's very proud. Isaac is now here. He's very proud that his voice is heard. He knows this will reach a certain audience and that it will make a difference. And afterwards, when I asked him first I asked their parents, and then I asked them personally if they're willing and how they see it. He said, no, any platform that I get to make my voice heard, I will do it. And yeah, that's exactly what he manifested. Yeah.
But still, I don't see full integration. And I haven't seen anyone except for the children who are born and grew up here speaking the local language in its full terms. Why is that?
Well, I have an Ethiopian wife. I have a daughter with an Ethiopian sister. We build a house for her and she lives on her own. So that is our levels of survival. We are fully integrated. When I first came here, before I built a house for myself, I built 2 schools for the Oromo children in Edemadu School. Before I built a house for myself. I used to train all the youth and them in football throughout the village. Everybody in the village knows.
The enemy is scattered, yeah. Oh, shall live, children, yeah. Rastafari I live. Oh.
Always, for me, when I go to my main informants and for them to send me to a next informant or to a next participant, what they do is actually, I'm always first, I'm the wife of a Rastaman. Second, I am an Ethiopian Rasta sister. And third, I'm a researcher. This is the way I am introduced to them. And then I have an access. So, I am both insider and outsider, and often I check myself. These children will always remain being African because it's something that they cannot take away from them. They're black. That's the first thing you will consider when you see them. Anyway, so it's a fact. And as far as I raise them consciously about their history, we call it Sankofa, to make that connection to the past, to look at back.
So for me, the greatest thing and what we're building here, yes, is a place that my children will be able to come to, my grandchildren, and one day, if not even living here, under the principles of Sankofa, which is an Ndinkra symbol, it's that swan looking over its shoulder. The Sankofa. Don't forget to look back. Don't forget to look at your history. So even if they all don't come and live here, the fact that they're coming, that they're connecting, that it's part of their consciousness, it's part of their reality, then that to me is victory.
Mercy, mercy me, the ecology. Things just ain't the way they used to be. Inner city blues make me wanna holler at race paper chase for the almighty dollar. Got to leave this place is what some may choose, but now that we found love, what have we got to lose?
Citizenship doesn't make that you are automatically you are equal with other people. Not really.
But don't take no mess. I confess, I'm too blessed to be stressed. I just wanna testify about love and happiness.
So I raise them, in African consciousness, but also in equality of human being.
I'm thankful and thoughtful. No weapon formed against me will ever prosper. Ain't no sunshine without the living water.
You can always make a connection between where you are and your back and be, a good ambassador and close that gap, do something out of it.
It's gonna be a lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. Solid ground, profound sound, inner visions and songs in the key of life. That's where I belong.
Home is where it can be where you make it. It shouldn't be necessarily where you're born and raised. But in my case, I would say home is where my purpose is, and my purpose is in Africa, and home in Ethiopia. That's all. Yeah, I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Get up, stand up all night long. When daylight comes, me want to go home. Exodus, movement of your people. I can understand it if you want to see the sequel. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop. Let me ride to the mountaintop. Swing down, sweet chariot, stop. Let me ride to the mountaintop, to the mountaintop, to the mountaintop. Thank you, y'all.